And whether or not you are okay with recording, we will like you to keep your microphones muted, and we will mute people if we think there's a lot of noise. At the end of the discussion, our co-director, Matthew Bone, is going to take questions, and these questions should be written down in the chat so that we do not interrupt other people. And that's where we will be taking questions from. Be mindful that this is a safe place, so you can all ask questions, but please be respectful to all the speakers and participants who are here today. We're still waiting on our speakers, and we will be introducing them as soon as they join.
Hi, I see that Deacon Michael, you made it in to the Zoom chat. I just want to thank you for coming. I think we're still waiting on Imam Bashar and his wife, Kimberley. So it'll
Okay.
just further.
There's 30 people on right now. Emily Brink is on with her she's been hanging out a lot with.
Hey, I would love to make another plug or two if we're still waiting for Imam Bashar to join us. Is that okay, Tuba? All right. So the Calvin Interfaith Alliance is a new student organization this year. So this is their inaugural year at Calvin University. And we're really excited about some of the stuff that they've been able to plan, even in the last year and a half, actually. And we're a little bit sad that this semester was cut short because they had some really great community building and community learning events planned. But one thing that they're probably a little too humble to promote too much, but I want to promote it on their behalf, is that they have a Facebook group. So if you were to be on Facebook and look for Calvin Interfaith Alliance, you can like that group. And they have been putting out this wonderful series for this entire semester, and it's going to continue. Is it every week or every other week another segment comes out? It's a little bit like the Humans of New York project, but it's sort of interfaith people or people working on and engaged in interfaith in our broader Calvin community. So I think they're up to maybe 11 or 12 different interviews that they've done now. And it's just a really cool way to get some different perspectives on why people in our Calvin community are drawn to and are participating in interfaith initiatives. And you get to, there's students and professors and faculty and staff and other community people that are part of this. So I would just encourage people, if you're interested in more information and just some interesting perspectives about what interfaith is about and why it calls some of us, to go ahead and go to Facebook and look for the Calvin Interfaith Alliance, like the group, and read up on some of those great posts and interviews that they've already posted.
Awesome.
Hello, good afternoon. Assalamu alaikum.
Good afternoon. Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon.
Thanks for joining us.
Assalamu alaikum. Okay, so we have all our speakers now, so I will be introducing them. First of all, we have Deacon Michael. Please say hello so that, your screen is big and everyone can see you.
Hello. Good to see everybody today.
Deacon Michael is from the Catholic tradition, and he was introduced to us by the Catholics at Calvin group. And this is also a relatively new group that was formed this year. He grew up an evangelical Christian, but converted later in his life and is now serving as a deacon at St. Paul the Apostle Parish on Burton Street, right here in Grand Rapids. And he's very, I think, a few weeks away from being a Catholic priest. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, that's great. Okay. And now we have Imam Bashar and his wife, Kimberley King, from the Muslim tradition. And I've met them when I was 16. Yes, when I was 16, I met them when I was an exchange student, and they're the founding members of the Civilizations Exchange and Corporation Foundation, which is a cultural exchange organization that helps promote peace by working together.
Thank you.
Thank you both. Thank you all of you for coming and joining us today. I will now be passing it over to Ben, the interfaith intern at the Service Learning Center, which is kind of who we work with throughout the year.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Tuba, for introducing me. And thank you once again to Deacon Michael and Imam Bashar and Kimberley King for being here with us today. I think just to start out, just to get like a better idea of who you are and where you're coming from, could you guys kind of tell us like what is your daily work and responsibilities kind of look like? Maybe even just during like a normal time of life.
Imam, would you like to go first, or?
Okay, first, as you like, but I just wanted to say first also that I really enjoyed the rainbow behind you. Is that real or
Yeah,
what?
that's our parish. It was just a rainbow about a week or so ago. There was a storm, and I just quickly snapped a shot. So that, yeah, it was a full rainbow.
I see.
Yeah.
Because I think that was a good shot. And I just wanted to ask, because it was raining here yesterday, but it is a pleasure to be with you. And I would like also to thank Tova and her team for coordinating this, because I think this is very important. But just as an introduction, my name is Imam Bashar Arafat, originally from Damascus, Syria. I have been here Imam in the Baltimore, Washington area for the past almost 30 years. It started as an imam of an Islamic center, and then it grew up to professor of Islamic studies at the universities in the Baltimore, Washington area, and then campus imam at Johns Hopkins University, and then founder of Civilizations Exchange and Cooperation Foundation, along with my wife, who is the programs director. And one of the main programs of Civilizations Exchange and Cooperation Foundation is the Better Understanding for a Better World Conference that bring youth from 70 plus countries. We hold these conferences in San Diego, California, where Tova participated. And also we hold it in Orlando, Florida, inside Disney. And also we hold it in Baltimore, Washington. And we were supposed to have our 36th conference just 2 weeks ago, but unfortunately, because of COVID-19, it was our first time we canceled, unfortunately, this conference. But my work is really grew more in interfaith when I came to the United States, because I have seen that the United States provide something unique for humanity today. It depends how you look at the United States. But for me, I looked at the United States as a multicultural, multi-religious society. And I have always been fascinated by the coexistence we have in the United States. And I tried to take this experience and make it as an international conference. And most of our international projects really focused on that, whether it is a study abroad program with Loyola University, or that we do all the time, or interfaith, or speaker programs. So really, we have a lot of things, but I would like also my wife to introduce herself. She is also the programs director, and she is the one who keeps me going.
So my name is Kimberley King. I'm originally from Ohio. I'm a U.S. Army veteran. As Imam Bashar said, you know, I'm the programs director at Civilizations Exchange and Cooperation Foundation. And our programs range, as he mentioned, from the BUBW conference, which is for youth and young professionals, to the International Observer Program for clergy, community leaders and educators, to English language and culture programs, interfaith programs, study abroad programs, and most recently the Sultan and the Saint program. Again, we try to bring people of diverse backgrounds together and engage in dialogue to get to know one another, demystify the other a little bit. We have 4 children ranging from 16 to 24. And I'm delighted to be here with all of you. Thank you so much.
May Allah help you with your camera.
Okay, I'm supposed to introduce myself as well, I guess. Yeah, so Deacon Michael. They gave me a little intro beforehand too, but so I also have some military background. I'm an Army chaplain veteran. That's actually, I was an evangelical Christian training to become a chaplain. And it was at an Army base that just randomly a Catholic invited me to come to Mass. And I was 27 years old, first time I'd ever gone to Mass. And I was just really drawn into it. I was drawn into the beauty of it, of that encounter with God. And that was back in 2010. So we're about 10 years gone on in this journey. And there was a couple other little markers in my path that led me to, some friends that suggested it, and just some peace that I found when I was spending time talking with the Lord in prayer about the life of the priesthood, and seeing, helping people encounter the Lord, and letting them see the love of Christ in hopefully through how I live my life and witness, but also just with what I say as well. So so one of the questions you guys asked was, what's life like now? It's been a real tough adjustment. I've tried to figure out ways to get myself out there. I literally just came from here. Right before I hopped on this Zoom group, I was visiting with about 3 of our parishioners from our Catholic parish. But I'm doing these little yard/sidewalk talks where we pull up a chair, we sit about 12 to 15 feet apart, and we just catch up with each other. And some people I've gotten to meet are, they haven't had visitors in over a month. So it's they just feel it's a real joyful opportunity to just encounter each other and be with each other. Really reflect also deeply on, I think what's come up in prayer in my life a lot is that a good chunk of our faith tradition includes the people of God lamenting, this guttural, visceral expression that where the cry of the prayers from the Psalms especially is, "How long, O Lord? How long until you deliver us from an affliction?" Or for the people of Israel being exiled from the land and not being able to worship in the temple, so that you can really identify with some of those experiences and feelings of being separated and far from your the routine and rhythm of your faith life. And so I've been just trying to encourage people when I visit them, really maybe dig into those parts of Scripture that that speak to that genuine faith tradition where we can cry out to the Lord. The Lord can handle it. He's okay if we express our sadness and sorrow and our longings. He deeply cares about those things. He doesn't always give us the immediate answers we want, but it's through those, even the paradox of it is through those questionings and the frustrations that our faith is both tested, but our trust and our faith can also be developed and deepened. And we won't always figure out how that all will come about until we see the fuller picture, that if God chooses to help us see that. But so my day to day is just making myself available to have some of those visits, and spending time in my own times of prayer, realizing that I only have about a month left before priesthood. So I want to kind of just also sink in and let myself be properly formed and prepared, starting to do some readings on, how to properly lead the worship of the Mass, and how to help people with the experience of the sacrament of confession. Just making sure I'm grounding myself. So that's kind of what's been going on in this very adjusted schedule. So.
If you don't mind, I think I missed the more appropriate, what does a normal day look like when I did the brief introduction. But as a mother of four, you know, keeping your children engaged and interested in expanding their activities while they're stuck inside of the house. That's something that both my husband and I try to do through prayer life, through educational activities, through cooking in the kitchen together, you know, preparing for the Ramadan breaking of the fast, through conversations and just, you know, asking them how they're feeling and how their school is going, because distance learning hasn't been common in the past. So they're going through their transitions, and we try to stay plugged in and, you know, open lines of communication for them throughout the day, as well as take care of our work that, you know, most of our work is face-to-face, through face-to-face interaction. So it's been a big learning curve for us, and we've had to become more familiar with Zoom and live Facebook and all these other avenues that we didn't use heavily before. They're now our lifeline to a lot of the work that we do.
Excellent. Yeah. So you guys already kind of touched on this, but what has been like the biggest hardship that you've had to face or adjustment that you've had to make, and how have you responded to that? And maybe Deacon Michael, if you want to go first for this one.
All right. Yeah. I guess the biggest challenge I would say is that personal contact. I mean, I would say the heart-wrenching things are like some of the sacramental aspects of our faith with regard to helping people when a loved one dies, and how do you say to a family, you know, I'm sorry, you can only have 7 people come to your funeral, and I'm sorry, you know, when we go bury your loved one, you know, we have to stay far apart, and I can't put my arm on your shoulder and let you know that the Lord is still with us. And especially for Catholics, I mean, Catholics, it's a very incarnational faith. That the faith is an extension of God's love in our human persons, through human persons. And so it is very tough. Even in my own personal life, I have elderly parents. My dad's going to be 85 in August. And, you know, I haven't been able to go over their house. I mean, I've gone over their house, but I've dropped off groceries out on their driveway. And we got creative last night. We all decided to take our cars, meet up at Wendy's, and we did a modified tailgating where we just opened the back hatches of our cars, and about 20 feet apart, we were just sitting there looking at each other and eating some burgers together. But you know, that's the tough stuff. And I had friends that they're planning to get married, and you're like, oh, sorry, you can't have, you know, you have to put off your reception, or yeah. I mean, we're social communal beings, and it's a harrowing time for those aspects of our life, our social life. Yeah.
You want me to add or what?
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah. Either of you guys'
Okay.
perspectives would be great too.
As you know, for Muslims, you know, we have, first of all, 5 times daily prayers, and I myself, almost every day in the morning, I go to the mosque, which is an hour and a half before sunrise, and that was a big change, you know, for us not to be able to go. And then you have a Friday service. Friday service for us is an essential part of our rituals, whether it is Ramadan or no Ramadan. And you cannot even pray Friday normally on your own. It has to be either in a mosque or in a congregation. And this Corona, time and this COVID-19 era made us really all have to, you know, make adjustments. And a lot of scholars now are talking about, is it okay or not okay to do a sermon online and for the people to pray and follow the imam who is in front of the camera. Of course, the majority of the scholars over the history, they prevented people from praying, far away and just following TV and following radio in the time of the radio, maybe 50 years ago or something, or TV. Now we have a new challenge. I think this COVID-19 posed a new religious challenges for the communities, and I'm talking about the Muslim community, because our religion, as you said, it's incarnational faith for us is a must, is an obligation. So we are really struggling with that. The mosques are closed all over the Muslim world, almost. But now, in the month of Ramadan, this is the first Ramadan in my life, where I'm now the 12th day of Ramadan, and I'm breaking the fast only at home with my family, which is, in one way, it is strengthening our family bonds, but in another way, it's depriving us from the communal sense and breaking the fast, in the mosque with the community, or inviting people, or being invited, because one of the rituals of Ramadan is to break fast with others and to help others. So now, for the first time in the history in the United States, we are having drive-through iftar, where people are coming to the mosques and picking up, a bag that's full of a meal, and go and eat it on your own, with your family. We have never experienced something like that, drive-through iftar. But the community is getting used to it, and really they are liking it. They are all in their cars, and they are coming to the parking lot of the mosque, saying hi to each other and taking this meal and go home. I think we are trying to get, adjusting for that. But the most positive things came out of this is the essence of worshiping with the family all the time. Worshiping with the family, reading Quran with the family every day, praying Taraweeh prayer, which is a special prayer in Ramadan. We prayed in the evening together, and we are having Quran studies together. And this is not only in my house, but also I think I'm hearing this from so many people. And also, it's pushed me to do programs every day, almost every day, on Facebook, and have reflections about Ramadan every day. And also, since COVID-19 pandemic started, I started also recording Friday reflection, because I'm unable to give Friday sermon. So now I have a Friday reflection and Friday talks, and you can see it if you go on my Facebook. And this is the 5th Friday. So in another way, it pushed us to get kind of, in the digital world and reaching out to the entire community. And I think when pandemic COVID-19 is over, I think we are going to find ourselves introduced to different tools that we are not going to let go.
So as far as the difficulties, I think again, and I'm going to disclose a secret, my husband's a very social being. And we were talking the other day, and he's used to traveling around the world. He's been to about 50 countries. And I was asking him, how is he doing not going outside of the house? Because I do the majority of the grocery shopping. So he's really in the house even more than I am. And he said he felt like he was in prison. And he said, it's been so long that I haven't traveled at least every other month to some country, or, conduct classes or conferences, or engage in, planning activities. So I think we are valuing human interaction much more than we ever thought. I think we never thought about it before. We just took it for granted. And now, even watching our neighbors, it's like this from a distance, but not that up close and warm, conversations and those kinds of things. And the in-person classes, I think because all of our work is face to face. All of our work is in the same room, in the same conference center, you're used to seeing people and engaging in, conversation and feeling the warmth of another body. And so I think that's probably, and the fact that you're told, no, you can't do things and you have to listen. So not listen only for yourself, but listen for the betterment, for the good of everybody else as well.
And I just would like to add one last quick thing. We are really right now feeling sorry for somebody who is dying or passing away.
Yes.
Because the emails coming to us from the mosque saying, so and so passed away, and then at the end there is a little disclaimer, sorry that we cannot hold funeral prayer in the mosque.
Right.
And cannot have more than 10 people going to the cemetery.
Yeah.
This is really so sad and so powerful on all of us, not to be able to go in the funeral, because this is a traditional practice.
Thank you. Yeah. And before we move on to the next question, just a general reminder, if anybody in the audience has any questions, feel free to just type it into the chat, and then Matthew will read some of those at the end. But my next question is whether you've seen anything good come out of this crisis. I know I've heard stories about incredible acts of like generosity or new skills being learned. So I was wondering if you've seen any of that personally in your work. And maybe if Imam Bashar, if you want to go first for this one.
Sure. As I was preparing for this session, I have seen a nice quote by Helen Keller, who said that the world is indeed filled with suffering, but we can never forget that it is also filled with the overcoming of the suffering. So really, just to say that bad things happen, and the Quran told us how we have to be ready for the tests from Almighty. But those tests does not mean that God is upset with us, but it's only meant to empower us and strengthen our resilience and strengthen our patience, and make us to appreciate more what God, is giving us. And also at the time of tests and challenges and calamities, that we have to help each other and we have to have mercy toward each other. So I think one of the good things came out of this is the appreciation for the people, to the human relation. And we really, we were taking this for granted, but now we started realizing how much we had a lot of blessings, and we were not thankful for this. And having this isolation in our homes for a long period of time made us to reassess all of our situations with people around us, and then with Almighty God, and then with life itself. I think, this pandemic gave us the feelings of what we call khalwa, or seclusion. We have a whole chapter in the Quran called the cave, and the people of the cave who ran away from one of the unjust rulers, and they thought that they are going to hide in that cave just for the night, but they end up sleeping for 309 years, and then God recreated them again. And the whole concept of the cave, is part of the life of Prophet Muhammad. He had a seclusion in the cave. It is part of Prophet Moses, who also had to meditate on the mountain of Sinai and At-Tur mountain for 40 days. it is part of the life of all the prophets, even Jesus, as the Quran mentions for us. So this time gave us, meanings of seclusion and how you should have some time for yourself and for your spirit. And we have been running all the time. But I think it was good for us to have, some moments for ourselves and for our families, and to appreciate the blessings of the family. And for me, I was telling my wife that this is the first time the whole month of Ramadan so far, we are just eating by ourselves alone. And we are loving it. We are watching some good movies together, and we are spending more time together. We are having, some family activities. I think, on another hand, I'm so happy that I'm having that time of my life, with the family, because in the past almost 12 years, I have been traveling nonstop, with the State Department and the speaker programs and around the world every now and then. We have a lot of activities, but thank God for everything. So I just wanted to mention that.
Oh, okay. You want me to go, or?
Sure, unless either of you guys.
Okay.
Sure, you can go first.
Okay. Oh, so yeah, I think I would go back to the main thing about, you said what good is come from this is, I know there's this ongoing joke about the Catholic faith or the Catholic Church is like, when the church thinks about change or development or even history, the church often thinks in centuries and not decades. So a lot of people in the church have been kind of slow to get into the digital world of like extending the message of the faith into these spaces, the Facebook live stream, Zoom, all these words that we didn't even know about before this time. And I've been just really inspired actually seeing a bunch of other priests that are, they're getting themselves out there, and there's something I think Pope Francis recently talked about, how it's called the creativity of love, where God, the idea of being made in God's image is this idea that God is the creator and he brings everything into existence. And then for us in our humanness and our human being made in his image, we are being invited to not rival God, but to participate in that creativity, to extend his creativity into the world. So we're learning ways to be creative through how do we get the message out. Like I was going to mention, you guys mentioned with Ramadan and having to have it drop once you break the fast, having to drop off the meals during our season of Lent. A very common tradition in the Catholic parishes is you have these fish nights. On Friday nights, you abstain from meat, and we would do. Our parish was kind of unique because we actually did Baja fish taco nights. And we had these all planned out, and then the coronavirus lockdown happened, and we were like, okay, we've already have all this fish, and we were going to make all these fish tacos. So we ended up doing similar to what you guys were talking about with Ramadan. We had a drive-through Baja fish taco night where we had me and Father Peter and a bunch of other members of our parish. We still prepared the food, and we had a line of cars coming down into the church parking lot, and we were handing out take-home bags, and we were still able to have that personal interaction with each car. And I kind of joked, I said, this is the best Baja fish taco drive-through in Michigan. Nobody's going to beat this. So we make the best of it. And for me, the spiritual reflection side of this is like, we at the heart of all our faith is revelation. God reveals himself to us. He lets himself be known to us. And that's one of the beautiful things. The Creator makes us wants to know us, and also he wants us to know him. And in this paradoxical experience, it's usually in the trials of life and the adversity and the suffering where revelation happens, where things, not just from scripture, but an extension from the scripture, God makes himself more known. And again, going back to that analogy with the laments of the Old Testament from the Jewish tradition, the majority of the Jewish scriptures were written during times of exile, during times of great adversities. I get like 70% of the Psalms are laments. And that's where God reveals his heart to us, makes himself known to us. And I'm seeing that a lot in this time. There's been beautiful things happening amidst all the frustrations, and it's so hard to get people together. How do you have a meeting with your staff, and how do you talk to people and you forget to mention something, and it's not like you can get, let's just all get back on the Zoom to talk about something we haven't resolved. So yeah, there are huge hurdles, but I'm very appreciative of the creativity. We've done some live streaming of our masses. Again, it's not the same. It's not a substitute for gathering, and we don't want to stay in this place. But I mean, one of the things I thought a lot about, especially as a Catholic, is, we're not turning a blind eye to the fact that, especially in the West, in America, we've seen a big drop off of Catholics coming to Mass. We see only from week to week, only 25% of Catholics in the United States have generally gone to Mass. So one of my prayers and my hopes is maybe Catholics that are still going to Mass, when they're watching a live stream of the Mass on Facebook, some of their Catholic friends that are on Facebook say, hey, wait, that's the Mass. I haven't been to that in a long time. Maybe they had a bad experience. Maybe a priest didn't act right, or there was somebody rubbed somebody the wrong way, and it really hurt somebody. And maybe this is just one moment where, essentially God is passing by. He's making himself known again through this simple thing of seeing the Mass in a new way, seeing the gathering of people in a new way, and hearing the scriptures anew in a different context. And God can even use that. The best scriptural verse that I think of is in Genesis. It's with Joseph and his brothers. Joseph gets sold into slavery. He gets mistreated. He gets thrown into prison in Egypt. And at the very end of all things, when he has the reunion with his brothers, he makes this very amazing and beautiful phrase. And I think it could almost be a summary of our entire faith life. But he says to his brothers who sold him into slavery, he says, you meant this for evil, but God meant this for good and for the saving of many lives. It was through Joseph's presence in Egypt that he helped spare not only the Egyptians, but also the entire land of Canaan from famine and starvation. So God worked within, the enemy, the evil one. He has a meaning for certain events and why he wants certain things to happen. But God, outside of time and transcendent above all our understandings, can bring about good from any adverse situation. So that's my thought.
You think that, we've noticed our youth really stepping up and getting involved, helping with preparations, doing things from behind the scenes that they may not have done before, getting more involved in helping the elders with the social technology. I think also that all of the first line responders, we couldn't be more thankful and more appreciative, and they go beyond, they represent humanity, not one particular faith tradition. And I think that, we as individuals, we as worshipers of God, we just have to, acknowledge where good is being done, and be thankful for it. And we see it throughout our communities. We see it when we go out to the shops. People, are putting their lives at risk by making sure that the rest of us have what we need. And those who are caring for us, they too, caring for the sick, are putting their lives at risk to make sure that those in need, those who have been, who have gotten corona or some other, illness, they're able to get the health care that they need. I mean, we see it throughout the community in a variety of ways. And, our heart goes out to those who have been negatively impacted by Corona in a severe way. And I think that for me, the only disappointing thing is that I feel there's not enough way to show the support to those who are really grieving. But the small gestures that happen on a daily basis really, fill me with hope and happiness and thankfulness, and a reminder that, the big and the small are both important, not to hesitate to do something because, you think it's not big enough. Everything that we can do is important.
If I may just add one more thing, I really feel that this pandemic, COVID-19, taught us also the compassion and mercy in its fullest. For us, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, the Quran says that he was sent as a mercy for mankind, not only for the Muslims. And once also he said, I swear by God that that God will not lay his hands of mercy except with those who are merciful. So his disciples, they said, O Prophet of God, we all have mercy toward our families. He said, not only to your families, but to the entire human family and God's family. So that shows us also during this pandemic how really we are trying to help others, and we feel bad when we hear stories of the death of others, those who are infected with the with coronavirus. Really, I think created more compassion and feelings toward each other, and that's to us part of our faith.
Excellent. Thank you for all your answers. I think we are done with our questions, and so now we're going to move on to the questions from the audience, led by the co-director of Calvin Interfaith Alliance, Matthew Bone.
Hi. So I'd just like to thank you, all the speakers again, for coming out and like sharing your time with us. And like it's been really nice to like listen to some of your answers to this and like get an idea of like what other communities are doing in this time. So the first question I have, I think it's targeted more for Deacon Michael. And so there's an audience member that was asking kind of what your experience of Easter was like during this time, because it was kind of on the forefront of this pandemic.
Okay. Yeah, it was the oddest, weirdest Easter that I'd ever had. The only second weirdest Easter would be the first Easter I entered the Catholic Church. I became Catholic on Easter of 2011. So that was a whole new experience for me then. But this was something fully other. I mean, it was my first year in a parish serving for Easter. And I was supposed to be the one that there's this, to open the Easter Vigil night mass, which this typical Vigil night mass supposed to go like 2 hours. There's like 7 scripture readings, but there's this opening beautiful exalted song that speaks about this being the night that our salvation has come to us, and all the things that have been leading up to this great moment or event. I was also asked to preach at this thing, and we had to do it live stream. It was just about, and we were allowed to have a few people, like 2 people lead some music accompaniment, and we had 1 or 2 other readers and 1 server. So it was just so odd. It was, we started that at 9 p.m. at night on Saturday night before Easter Sunday, and it was weird. And in my preaching, I was supposed to preach, and I really focused in on that thematic element from the Exultet called "This is the Night," and talked about how that God is inviting us to move out of Chronos time into Kairos time, and to let God fill our time with His presence. And this is again, this is where we find. I mean, this is the ultimate experience of what the resurrection is. It comes to fill us with the hope of new life. eternal life in that invitation of encounter with him. And I broke down in tears during the homily. I was trying to express to people through a camera lens that, God wants to be in you, be with you and be in your midst right now. And this is the time, this is the night. This is the night that God gives us to renew this opportunity to see him again and know him for the God of mercy, the God of love, the God of compassion that comes to us and extends himself into our midst. Again, most vividly for Christians is the extension of Jesus in the incarnation, but like just living in that tension, I really just deeply got to me. And it was the first time I really just started crying. I had to it took me like 3 or 4 minutes to start talking, and I was just breaking up. Like, yeah, I'm telling you, God wants to be in your midst, and we can't be in your midst together. We can't be together. And so it was the oddest Easter I've ever had. And there's some beauty and joy in it too. Just seeing the response of the community that was watching on the live stream and hearing people noticing things about the Mass and the liturgy worship that they had not noticed before when they had been there. So again, God is always trying to pour out his grace on us. He's trying to give us his grace, invite us to more of his grace. And it's oftentimes our stubbornnness, our hard hearts, that we don't pick up on it. I mean, I take great comfort in the disciples. They spent 3 years around Jesus, and they never figured everything out about it. So yeah, this is a whole new learning experience. I guess that's the best way to explain it with the Easter experience.
And I guess kind of going off of that, we have another question that is asking, and this is open to all the speakers, but are there any things that you kind of learned or had an experience of during these times of COVID that you think will kind of permanently change some of the practices in your tradition? Or is there any new digital techniques or different things that you think will really stick after this?
Well, I mean, for me, I think I really felt that we need to have more courses for our imams and graduate imams for the future, to be more technical savvy and to have more courses on how to do services online and use the internet better, and how to create videos. And I know other people might help and volunteer for them, but they themselves also, they should be able to be aware of that, because this is I think this is not the last situation we are going to see ourselves in. I think that was a wake-up call for us in that term. So this is that's what comes to mind right now.
Yeah, I was just thinking that this was a surprise to so many of us in the Islamic community, and trying to organize, and of course we have varying schools of thoughts to begin with, so we always have a lot of discussion about different issues as it comes about, but trying to organize and coordinate efforts and come to an agreement on how things should be handled and how to disseminate information so it gets to everyone. I think that whatever we weren't able to accomplish during this particular time frame that we're in, that we're under stay at home, I think that it will go forward, and we'll work on our coordination efforts, and we'll work on our plan Bs or our emergency plans for any future activities that come about, whether it's a health issue or some other kind of issue. I think this was a wake-up call for all of us, and I think too within our family, we've had to reorganize things, and we've had to be understanding of all 4 children having online classes at the same time. So one will take one room, one will take another room, another one will take another room. So I think that those types of arrangements that had to be made under these circumstances, we're better prepared now, and I think those will remain in place. I think being a little more creative in how to address the needs of those, like one of the stories that I heard about activities in California is that they were putting the needy, those who were homeless, they were putting them into hotels, unused hotels. And I thought that was so commendable, and I was so thankful that they, got respite for this time frame, and they were able to be in a comfortable location and cared for. I hope that we as a society continue to think about caring for those who now we know definitely, not only the homeless, but those who are of the lower income, those who are in areas where they don't have large grocery stores, so you can go and stock up for 2 weeks at a time. We have to look and see how we need to do some restructuring societally as well, or address other issues beyond our own home issues.
Awesome, thank you. And Deacon Michael, if you have anything to add on.
Sure. Yeah, I'll be brief on this one. Yeah, I would say that being, again, pushed out of our comfort zone for especially church leaders and priests, and figuring out, learning new ways to collaborate with everybody in the parish, and learning how to get ourselves outside of our normal way that we think we thought was the best way to do things. Yeah, and I think the other big thing, the only other thing I'd mention is again, just being much more sensitive to, one of the things that comes up a lot for us now is like, for the experience for Catholics when they go to Mass, just dropped the device. They almost, culminates in receiving Jesus under the appearance of bread and wine, the body and blood of Christ in the Eucharist. But for those that are sick or homebound, there are people that all year round can't go to Mass. There's people all year round that are sick in hospitals that need us to extend that presence of God's love in their lives. And this has kind of been a deepening of the invitation for not just priests and deacons and clergy, but for people in our parishes to take on that role of being the hands and feet of Christ, and bringing the sacramental encounter with Jesus through the Eucharist, instead of having it like, I know in our parish experience, like there's only like a select few. There's like maybe 7 to 10 people out of a parish of 800 people that might be weekly going into nursing homes and going to hospitals and bringing the sacraments to people, unless there's like a major health issue and a priest needs to go. I think this is, I've been trying to encourage a lot of people in our parish, like, this is encouraging us to, like, you're longing and you're desiring of wanting to be at Mass and you're not being able to go. Imagine having that all year round. And that's really what compassion means, is to suffer with people, not just sympathy where, oh, I feel bad for those people out there that can't do that. But like, oh no, now I'm experiencing this now. And now I'm going to be invited to walk with people who are experiencing this now. And I'm going to now put into action put into action actually what compassion is, which is to enter into these lives and be there for people. And so those are just the 2 thoughts I had.
Awesome. Thank you so much for giving us your time. We're kind of approaching the end of the time slot for our event. But for all the speakers, we appreciated your answers to our questions, and getting to, get some of the wisdom from you guys. So I'm going to pass it off to Danish. He is our current general secretary for Calvin Interfaith Alliance, just to kind of close this up for us. So yeah, Danish, if you want to take it.
Thank you, Matthew. As he already said, I'm the general secretary for Calvin Interfaith Alliance, and I wanted to thank you all for joining us here today. And we are almost at the end, but we have a couple of announcements, so please bear with us. First off, for the Calvin University faculty and staff, this event qualifies as a cultural competency professional development activity. Please go to register your participation in this event by visiting the Calvin Human Resources webpage. And if you have any questions, please contact Professor Dykstra for more information. Similarly, this event was made possible by CIA, but we had tremendous help from the Department of Diversity and Inclusion, the SLC, the Catholic Student Org, IFYC, and of course, from our loving Calvin community. And also a big thanks to our lovely mentors, Professor Dykstra Prime and Professor Howard. Finally, I would like to take this opportunity to invite any students who are interested and would want to be a part of Calvin Interfaith Alliance for next year to reach out to us or to be on the lookout for when the openings for the next semester's leadership team opens. And finally, at the very end, thank you to Jeff for letting us use his Zoom account, I guess, and for helping us organize. That is all for today. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming.
And if I could add just one thing, if anyone in the audience would like to ask more questions or has more questions that I didn't get to, you can email me that, or you can email us at cia@calvin.edu, and we'll pass those questions along to the speakers. And if they, in their busy schedules are able to find time, we'll get those back to you. So yeah, thank you so much for everyone for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you. You did a wonderful job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone, for coming.
Yeah, let's do it again. I love this. Anytime you guys want to chat or plan some other topics, or I'm happy to be a part of whatever you guys are doing. And it seems like it's a really positive thing to get together and keep ourselves connected. So
that would be really great. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thank
see
you.
you guys.
Thank you.